turned around now. All right, well, folks, I think we're back. I hope we're back. Like I said, I was trying to do StreamYard, which allows me to go live and have my face and my desktop, and it worked fine in practice. I didn't have that terrible echo feedback. So I don't know what happened. So my apologies for that. But we're going to get started, and let me show you. We're going to be working with, again, the beautiful New Horizons Designer Series paper that's only going to be around until the end of June. And I thought I was going to be on StreamYard. I'm standing, I'm not sitting. I'm sitting, I'm not standing. I'm just totally discombobulated right now. Okay, so we're going to be working with the gorgeous Designer Series, New Horizons Designer Series paper that's only here until June. And I believe Stampin' Up! Has a video of how they did this together, but this is actual watercolors that were done by the Stampin' Up! Artisans and then made into the Designer Series paper. So they're absolutely stunning. And we're going to get started and do two hopefully unique cards that I think you'll like tonight. One, of course, is going to be a simple stamping card where it's really just our stamps, inks, and paper. And we've just done really just straight cuts on our trimmer. So it's a pretty easy card that anybody that's a beginner can certainly do this. And then we're going to step it up, and we're going to use those layering diorama die cuts. And we're going to make sort of a pop-up card. It does lay flat. It's your standard 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but it lays flat for mailing. And then it pops up, and it creates this gorgeous little meadow scene. So let's go ahead and get started with our simple stamping card. So I apologize if I don't respond to comments because I am in a different position tonight. I may not see them, so I will follow up after the broadcast. But thank you all for tuning in. So for our simple stamping card, we have a base of Blackberry Bliss that is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. I've scored it at 4 1/4. For the inside, I have a piece of basic white that is 4 by 5 1/4. I have a piece of our fresh freesia that is 3 3/8 by 5 3/8. And then I have a piece of that New Horizons DSP that is 3 by 5. And of course, I have here just a scrap of the fresh freesia for our sentiment, which I can pick it up. I can't pick it up. And then I'm going to be stamping in our Blackberry Bliss ink. And I'm going to be using the sentiment from our flowering tulips. These are all in the current annual catalog. This is also still in the January to June mini as a bundle. So if you like this, you can still get this as a bundle. Hello, Brenda. How are you today? Thanks for tuning in. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on our first card. Now, I'm not going to stamp on the inside, but if I were going to stamp something on the inside, I would stamp it first and then I would adhere it onto the inside of my card. Remember, I say stamp then stick, because if you make a mistake, you can flip it over. And I don't really need the AirPod in anymore, so I can take that off. Oh, I feel so much better. I can work out the problems with StreamYard. I don't know why. It works in practice. And then when I go live, it does that horrible echo thing. I'm sure it's operator error, but I'll figure it out yet. All right, so I'm just going to go and stick this down inside, and then I'll write a nice little birthday note. I have a couple of birthdays coming up in June. My family is crazy with June birthdays. I don't know what month it is for you, but June, I don't know, like everybody and their brother was born in June in my family. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to layer that gorgeous DSP right over our fresh freesia. So again, like I said, this is really a very simple stamping card. We're not doing anything outrageous. We're just going to make a lovely little card that really anyone can do. Now, of course, if you like to embellish your card, you can add as much as you want. You can add die cuts. You can add, Wink of Stella. You can add embossing powder, whatever you want to do. But again, for someone who's just starting out, I like to show kind of just a basic card that really is like an entry-level card. Okay, so we've got that there. And now I'm going to stamp my sentiment right here. Flip that over, I don't like that side. I need to replace the blade in my trimmer. And then I'm just going to stamp my sentiment. And I'm using my Stampin' Pierce mat because these are photopolymers. And I like that the Stampin' Pierce mat gives me a little extra cushion to get a nice clean stamp. All right, now I'm going to take my scissor, if I can find it, and I'm just going to just kind of flag the end like that. For, excuse me, for no other reason than that it just looks pretty. All right, let me put this away. Now I have here our linen thread, and I'm just going to tie it into a bow. I'm gonna kind of freehand a bow there. Please let me know if you can't see. I'm trying so hard to make sure that I am doing everything in sight, but I am completely off my element tonight because that StreamYard threw me for a total and complete loop. Okay. Let me see now. Okay, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to add the teeniest, tiniest dot of glue. I'm going to hold this there just so I can get an idea of where I want my little thread bow, linen thread bow. Little tiny glue dot, and I'm going to go ahead and put that right on the glue dot. Okay, and then we're going to come in with some Stampin' Dimensionals. Now don't be afraid to use the edges. Everybody knows the edges work just as well as the Stampin' Dimensionals, as the cutout ones. So use every single bit that you can. All right. And here we've got a really simple, sweet birthday card that, you know, suitable for men, for women, for, you know, teens, for kids. It really can go for anyone. But again, it's very simple, and we're letting that gorgeous designer series paper really kind of carry this card. And really, we only had the sentiment stamped. So that is our simple stamping card for tonight. All right, next, we're going to work on this really fun diorama card. Now I have boy, oh boy, I can't speak tonight. I've had the diorama dies for, oh my gosh, probably when they came out last year. And this is really the first time I've played with them, and I'm happy with the results. So let me show you what we've got here. We've got a piece of Evening Evergreen that is 4 7/8 by 4 1/4. We've got another piece of Evening Evergreen that is 4 1/4 by 7. I've got a piece of our basic white that is 4 1/4 by 5. And then I've got a piece of our designer series paper that is 4 1/4 by 4 7/8. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is let's go ahead and score. We got to score our top piece first so we know where to put the die. So I'm going to bring in my scoring tool. All right. Trying to make sure we can see this. I'm going to score this at 1/2 inch, at 1 inch, at 6 inches, at 6 inches, and at 6 1/2 inches. Okay, so now that I have that, now I know where to place my die and run it through the stamp, cut, and emboss. So I'm going to go and I'm going to pick out my die, and I think I used like the 3rd largest one. Let me see, or maybe it was the largest one. No, it was the 3rd largest die. Okay, and it doesn't matter which way you place it. You can place it any way you want. There's no right way to use it. So just place it on there however you want it. And then we're going to bring in our stamp, cut, and emboss machine. All right. I might not be able to get this whole thing on camera, but you'll know. I can't see. I want to make sure I place it in between my score lines. Okay. That's tight. I need some new plates, but they're on back order. Okay. Here we go. So it's got that cut out. Now, hold on to this piece because you can use this for another project. I'm just going to put that off to the side. All right, now let's get started. We're going to fold in on our score lines to get our little box ready. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our designer series paper to our cardstock. Because if we put this on first, we're not gonna be able to get the designer series paper on. So let's go ahead and put on our designer series paper. And I think I'm going to use some liquid glue for this, just in case. I need to kind of have a little wiggle room with it. Okay. And there we go. I'm hoping everybody can see this. I'm hoping I'm on camera. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay. That's why I like using the glue. Okay. I think that's good. Okay. Now I'm going to open up these and I'm going to put a little tear and tape on the outermost 1/2 inch. And that's what we're going to use to secure to the back of our card. Let me move that out of the way for a minute. Okay. So what do you think? I tried a new nail color. What do you think? I'm not really sure about the blue. I usually prefer my pinks and my reds, but I kind of wanted to step out of my comfort zone. So I don't know. I'm not really sure about it, but it's mine for the next 2 weeks. So I guess I have to learn to live with it, make peace with the blue. But I think next time I'm going back to my pinks and reds. Okay, let's see if I can get this up. I left my pick tool over on my other desk. I forgot. I needed it over here. Oh boy. Ugh. Don't you hate that when it just doesn't want to come off? Okay, now I think I'm going to make this the top of my card. So I'm going to make sure I'm putting that in. I'm going to put this right up against that first score line there. See that? So I just have it 1/2 inch showing. I'm going to fold it over the back. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to bring it up to that first fold line, and I'm going to put it over there. Okay, now I have my piece of basic white, and that is going to fit exactly on the back, and it's going to cover those 2 seams. So if you wanted to stamp something on here, you should do it now. So I'm going to stamp some trees on here. Okay, I'm just going to stamp these on here. All right. And then this way you could write a nice little note to whomever you're giving this to. Now make sure that when you put it on, this is the top of my card. I'm going to turn it over like that. And I'm going to put this on the back. And I'm going to, again, use my liquid glue to make sure I have a little bit of wiggle room to get it situated on the back of my card. Okay, and I just put like a really thin layer. I try not to put too much. I try to do a very thin layer. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay that down. All right, there we go. Now that is on the back, right? But now let's go ahead and decorate that front. So from the Grassy Grove, I keep calling it Garden Grove, from the Grassy Grove set, that's where the trees came from. They were from the Grassy Grove. And I stamped another set of trees, and I cut them out with the matching die, and then I cut out the little deer. So let's go ahead and add these to the front. And again, I'm just using a little bit of glue. Okay, not too much because there's not a lot to adhere to there. So I'm just going to put on maybe like 1/4 inch, or maybe a little tiny bit on this side of the tree. Okay, and we're going to place that right there. I'm just going to I was going to gently press it with my finger, but that doesn't seem to be working. All right, so we've got that. All right, let's go ahead and add our little deer. And again, I'm just going to put the tiniest bit of glue on his little legs because I don't want it to stick to the DSP. I want it to just stick to that outside Evening Evergreen. So just a little bit of glue. And we'll put him right there. Okay. Now, I'll have to go back in later with my eraser because my big fat fingers got the glue everywhere. And then I have a piece of our basic white. I thought I did. That was 1/2 inch, and I don't really know how long it is, but it's probably about 3 inches because I'm going to trim it. So I'm going to stamp Happy Birthday, and this is from the Happiness Abounds stamp set. So I'm kind of all over the place tonight with sentiments and images from 3 different stamp sets, but sometimes you can just mix and match. You know, you don't always have to use everything from one product suite. And I stamped that in Soft Succulent. So I stamped the trees in Soft Succulent, and I stamped that in Soft Succulent. I'm just going to go ahead and trim off that little end where the birthday is. I'm going to trim off that. Okay, get rid of that. And then I'm going to bring in my Stampin Dimensionals. Now I have to be careful here because I've got this big hole there. So I'm going to put one on each end, and that is all I'm going to put on because I want to make sure that it doesn't stick to the inside of my card. And for the outside, I might even just use one of these little outside pieces for the other edge, just to be on the safe side. Okay. Now again, you can go ahead and add some more embellishments if you want. I wasn't really sure what else this would need, but how is that for a lovely card that's kind of different? I thought it was kind of pretty, so I hope that you like it as much as I do. Again, it will fold flat, perfectly flat, except for the little dimensionals, but it will fold flat for mailing, so it's the perfect size, but yet when they put it up, they've got that lovely little 3-dimensional meadow scene. So those are our 2 cards for this evening. So thank you all so much for tuning in. And again, if you are watching this on replay, please let me know where you're watching from. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. I'll see you next week. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.